Look at Robert Bobby Crimo. Would you sell a gun to that guy? Does he seem like a nutcase? Of course he does. So why didn't anyone raise an alarm? Well, maybe because he didn't stand out. Maybe because there are a lot of young men in America who suddenly look and act a lot like this guy. It's not an attack, it's just true. Like Crimo, they inhabit a solitary fantasy world of social media, porn, and video games. They're high on government-endorsed weed. Smoke some more, it's good for you. They're numbed by the endless psychotropic drugs that are handed out at every school in the country by crackpots posing as counselors.
I don't know if Tucker Carlson knows this. No, let me pause. Tucker Carlson does know this. School counselors don't have the ability to write prescriptions for psychotropic drugs for teenagers. But who knows, maybe there's an incoming war on school counselors next, because the right wing is always looking for their next manufactured culture war. So brace for impact when that comes around. But of course, here's Tucker Carlson blaming social media, which is available in other countries, porn, also available in other countries, video games, definitely available in other countries, marijuana, not only available in other countries, legalized in other countries, and pharmaceutical drugs for the mass shooting that happened in Highland Park, Illinois over the 4th of July weekend. Anything to deflect from our failure as a country to do a damn thing about loose gun laws, easy access to guns by anyone and everyone, including this lunatic who opened fire at this parade in Highland Park, killing 7. Tucker Carlson also has an interesting perspective when it comes to mass shooters in general, but especially when it comes to poor young white men. So why don't we hear more from Tucker Carlson on what he blames all of this on? And if you think what you've already seen is bad, get ready, it's about to get worse.
And of course, they're angry. They know that their lives will not be better than their parents. They'll be worse. That's all but guaranteed. They know that, they're not that stupid.
They're angry. So here's Tucker Carlson engaging in the same faux populism that he typically engages in to signal to his audience that he understands them. You know, he is, of course, incredibly wealthy, sent his kids to boarding schools, which, by the way, let me just keep it real. I know that's a rich person thing, sending your kids to boarding schools. If you don't want to be a parent, then don't have kids. If you don't want to raise your kids, you want to send them off for months at a time, don't have kids. We have enough disturbed minds in the country. We don't need more of them as a result of wealthy parents who don't want to parent having kids and then sending them off for months at a time at boarding schools. Just a side note, just a side note. But the Swanson heir is trying to signal to his audience that he understands the economic frustrations, the same economic frustrations that he has supported throughout his entire career, that he has pushed for throughout his entire career. He has supported the very politicians who have put corporate profits over the lives and livelihoods of fellow Americans. But don't worry, he understands the frustrations of these poor young white male shooters who decide to open fire and cause mass deaths in this country. He understands, he understands. I'm getting real tired of his pretend economic concerns. Okay, but he's building a case here that's essentially trying to provide cover for a mass shooter who, by the way, not only killed 7 people, left a 2-year-old boy by the name of Aiden McCarthy orphaned. Little 2-year-old boy will not get to experience the joys of having his parents with him. There he is, 2-year-old boy, lost both his parents in that shooting. He is now an orphan. But Tucker Carlson understands. He understands why someone would open fire, right? I mean, that's kind of the case he's starting to build here. But is it? I don't know, I could be wrong. Let's watch the next video.
And yet the authorities in their lives, mostly women, never stops lecturing them about their so-called privilege. You're male, you're privileged. Imagine that, try to imagine an unhealthier, unhappier life than that. So a lot of young men in America are going nuts. Are you surprised?
I mean, can you blame all these young men in America who open fire and kill all these innocent people? Can you blame them? Can you blame them? It's the women's fault. It's the women, they're nagging the men and they're miserable. So they decide to buy assault weapons and show up to 4th of July parades and slaughter people. Can you blame them? Are you surprised? Tucker Carlson very clearly stating that it's understandable that this happened. It's understandable. What I also love is that he started that segment by claiming, hey, or asking his audience, like, would you sell this guy a gun? I mean, look at him, would you sell this guy a gun? So I don't get it, Tucker. What are you advocating for here? Are you advocating for a policy that would just automatically deny guns to guys who look like the mass shooter in Highland Park, Illinois? So like you wanna go more extreme than red flag laws. Just on face alone, we can deny selling you a gun. Okay, of course he's not calling for that. But how insanely disgraceful and pathetic was that segment? I mean, he's got this past and present, I mean, he still spouts these conspiracy theories about how white people are being replaced in America. And that was the exact conspiracy theory that persuaded another insane person to open fire in Buffalo, New York at a grocery store, gunning down black shoppers because he was paranoid about white replacement. Tucker Carlson seems to want to provide some sort of pipeline. Fox to prison pipeline. He spouts his talking points, his hateful, disgusting rhetoric. He riles up lunatics in the country. They then turn around, open fire, kill innocent people, and then he'll come back on his show and say, I mean, couldn't you guys see this coming? I mean, can you really blame him? The women in his life, am I right? I don't know which situation's going on in his household with his wife. Maybe she's nagging him, maybe he's got some issues there. I don't know, I don't care, okay? To blame what happened in Highland Park, Illinois on anyone or anything other than the fact that the person who opened fire was a lunatic who should not have had access to firearms is absolute BS. I'm not interested in hearing any other argument. This is a guy who had authorities show up to his home on 2 different occasions because he was a threat, because he had threatened to kill himself, and on a different occasion threatened to kill everyone else with the weapons he had in his room. Cops had to confiscate all of his knives and swords and daggers as a result of that. And then after that happened, he was able to legally buy firearms and planned the shooting that he did, planned another shooting that luckily he was not able to carry out because he was apprehended later after the Highland Park, Illinois shooting. But the point that I'm trying to make here is, it is amazing the extreme lengths that Tucker Carlson is willing to go to avoid ever having to blame the problem that we're facing in this country with mass shootings on guns and the kind of rhetoric we hear from the right wing that sows fear, division, and paranoia among our white fellow Americans, particularly young white men. He encourages a lot of it. So I guess in some ways, I'm not that surprised. But I'm not gonna provide cover for a mass shooter by blaming women in his life when there's absolutely no evidence indicating his rage, his violence was fueled by women. It wasn't. But anything to avoid having to talk about the real problem. Racist rhetoric, unhinged conspiracy theories, poisoning the minds of young men in this country who have easy access to weapons. Tucker Carlson knows what the real cause is. Just trying to distract you from the truth.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.